Good morning. Where are we? Afternoon? Good
We're
morning?
almost at noon.
Almost. It's been a long morning. Welcoming back Jason Bauer, owner of Head Over Heels Gymnastics in Middletown, Parlin, Shrewsbury.
And
I'm missing
East Brunswick.
East Brunswick.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me back.
We're closing out the year, which is unbelievable, and time just seems to fly on by.
Yes.
But it was about a year ago. Actually, it was a little over a year that I met your team.
Correct.
And was sitting in. At the time, I actually lived around the corner. I moved since then, but we lived in Aberdeen, so it was like literally 2 seconds away
from our office.
From your office.
Yeah.
And I met your wonderful team. Didn't really know what to expect because I didn't know too much about Head Over Heels outside of, working like briefly together, right? And was so pleasantly surprised, genuinely.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I have worked with many businesses in Monmouth County over the years, obviously, and it's just been like really enjoyable to get to know your team, to get to know your family, to learn how passionate you and your family and your team are about providing a resource for families in our community that is, well done. That is something that, the parents can take their kids to, that is, they'll learn from and enjoy and, just even if they're dropping in for a class, just to kind of, to get into, to get the kids out of the house. Right. So I just kind of wanted to start out by saying that because
we appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
been a great relationship for us. I know, about a little over a year ago, on social media, I followed you and I'm like, there's something here. Like we're missing something. Like we need to be a part of this. And that's when I reached out to you and I'm like, okay, we want to partner with you in some capacity. I didn't even know what it was going to look like. When I brought it up to my team, they all looked at me like, okay, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, let's have her come in and let's have a conversation and see where it goes. And here we are a year later.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was a fun morning when we got to know each other. And then since then, obviously we've partnered together on our events, and you may have seen some social media posts, with different things from HOH, but we've done a lot throughout the year.
It's been a busy year.
But I think, my biggest takeaway and something that I'm so eager to ask more about is kind of how you have worked with your family and built this business here in Monmouth County, because I know that building a business, in and of itself is a challenge. And when you're doing it with family, I think maybe, it doesn't always work, right? Sometimes, but it seems to work really well for you. So tell me a little bit about the history.
It's got its ups and downs for sure. I'm not going to say it's all sunshine and rainbows,
right.
Because you have to draw that line of this is home time and then this is work time.
Okay.
And I think that's the biggest learning curve that we're still working on. Mm-hmm. We get better, we make our mistakes and then we learn from them. But it's kind of funny, the evolution of Head Over Heels as a family business it starts back in 1982, which is when Head Over Heels started. Gail Boyce started it in Freehold, in a basement of a church.
Wow.
Like many gymnastic schools, back in the day, they all started in these little places and then they evolved. And then she grew and moved to Old Bridge, which became her primary location. Mm-hmm. And I walked into Head Over Heels at 109 White Oak Lane on January 12th of 1995. And everybody goes, how do you know the exact date? And I said, because 4 days later, I met my soon-to-be wife.
Wow.
And we had our first date on January 27th, 1995. So, there are men out there who can remember dates of, important events, and I owe Gail, everything. I have the family I have because of Head Over Heels.
It's incredible.
It is,
So your wife was working there?
Actually, my wife was a competitive gymnast at Head Over Heels.
Got it.
And she was graduating from East Brunswick High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in, I was 19, and I just started coaching the boys team at the time because I was a former men's competitive gymnast.
Okay.
I was home from college, and Rich Spencer and Kelly Allagher, Bruce Petty, Tony Borden, and Tony still works for us at Head Over Heels. She actually celebrated her 36 years yesterday.
Wow.
With the company, and they were all pushing the two of us to date each other. What nobody knew is I had already asked her for her phone. Like before they all started to try to play matchmaker, I had already been like, hey, can I give you a call? And gave her a call. And then January 27th, we went on our first date, and here we are, 25 plus years later, 3 kids, and we're still going strong.
So I didn't realize that she was a gymnast. So that's nice that
Yeah.
you have that in common. That
Yep.
you both have a passion for the sport.
Yeah, and she competed at Rutgers University.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she was an athlete back in the late 90s, and that's kind of how our story started.
Wow.
And I took a different path. I worked for Head Over Heels for a couple of years, and then kind of went and did my own thing, and came back and forth. But over the years, Gail and her husband Ron were very supportive of me and my path, whether it was going to coach collegiately.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, at a time, I opened my own gym in South Plainfield, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And, Gail was always a phone call away if I ever needed something.
Okay.
And vice versa. She used to call me as the tech support because, Gail was very much pen, paper, ledgers, and I was much more of the pushing computers and all the new stuff. So we grew very close over the years. And when I finally came back from Ohio in 2019 after coaching collegiately,
Mm-hmm.
I called Gail, and she's like, I'll make a spot for you. And she did, brought me back into the fold. And then eventually we partnered, and then I bought Head Over Heels completely when she was ready to be retired.
And what year was that?
That was 2022
Okay.
was when I officially acquired all of Head Over Heels.
Interesting. Okay.
So it was a long road to get there, but we got there.
That's great. I love it. So you had your 3 children.
Yep.
And how old are they now?
Jacob is 24.
Okay.
Julia is 20, and Jordan is 16.
Okay.
And in one way or another, they all work in the family business.
Okay.
Jacob is, for those of you who know Head Over Heels and follow us on TikTok and social media, that is all Jacob.
Yes. He's the guy that looks like the Dancing with the Stars guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name. Efron.
Oh, okay. Dylan Efron.
Dylan Efron.
Yeah. He'll love hearing that. So yeah, he's driving our social media campaign. He's doing all of our strategic partnerships. So he's been a big player in working with you with the Monmouth Moms, special events. He's also teaches ninja, coaches teams, classes, and he's a main fixture at our Parlin location.
Okay.
So he's got a very good eye for what our customers are looking for, especially the younger generation. So
Mm-hmm.
he's that connection between, me as the old school and the new school. So Jacob's done a great job with the marketing, and he just loves doing it.
Yeah. He's you can tell it really it makes him happy, and
Yeah.
And he really likes working with the kids.
He does.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch, and the way that they respond to him, and the way he's very interactive with them. My wife and I are very proud of what he's doing.
Yeah, no, it's actually really, really unique and really great that you have someone on the team, family or not. Sometimes it's challenging to, it's challenging to run a small business in general, but once you, have to market yourself, sometimes it's challenging for a business owner to really kind of, put themselves out there. And it seems to come like very easy to him, or I don't want to say
He's
easy,
a natural.
natural.
He's
Yeah,
a
it's
natural. Yeah.
And he really, he understands kind of like how to connect the two worlds, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does a great job.
He's doing really well, and I appreciate that. And he's always pushing the envelope. He always wants to do something that's cool and innovative. And sometimes I'm like, no. Sometimes we have to toe the line, and he's like, no, push it. And I'm like, all right, we'll find that balance. But yeah, he's doing really well with it, and he's learning as he goes too.
Mm-hmm.
With the technology age and everything available at our fingertips. Some of the things he's done using AI have just been so cool.
Yeah.
Just using our mascot Kipper and making him animated and come to life. And, there's a lot of people in our marketing department that are there to assist as well. but he's really taken the lead on the social media aspect,
Yeah.
and the TikTok aspect. And, I know we played with Snapchat for a little bit, but I think he's driven more towards the TikTok.
Okay. I didn't even know Snapchat was still a thing.
Yeah, I think it's still out there. We don't use it much for this, but we definitely have a very engaging daily video log going on. Sorry, it's a vlog. I'll get yelled at for calling it a video log.
Yeah.
So that's been popular, and just there's some pretty cool videos out there.
There is. And then your older daughter.
Yes, Julia. So Julia, she's more of the, I want to run the business, and kind of operations. So she's taken the lead on our special events and birthday parties. And she's also kind of the main fixture at our HOH2 location right here in Shrewsbury. Mm-hmm. So she's working there all day, preschool classes, training people, making sure the facility is up to the way we want it to present for the clientele. Mm-hmm. And she's also helping behind the scenes with some of the marketing and the operations stuff. And that's where her strengths lie.
Yeah.
Like she's very good at the analytical stuff and making sure that, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Systems. That's where she thrives.
Okay. That's so important too. I'm not that person.
Yeah, no, she definitely is that person.
And then your younger daughter also it helps out too, right?
Yeah. So Jordan, she's in high school. She's got her aspirations, to do athletics in college, and that's kind of where her focus is right now. But she's one of our main birthday party employees. She's at all the special events. When we do the Monmouth Moms marketing event, she's out there, with the kids, flipping on the floor. So she has a great time with it too. Where her path is going to go, we don't know.
Right.
But the business is diverse enough that if there's something that she chooses that she wants to do, we'll find a way to make it work for her.
Okay. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, like how sometimes like families, they have a family business and they're just like not interested at all, like in working for it. And then others, it's like you just work so well together, and there's different, like actually, if you listen to the episode with Carrie from Delicious Orchards, how, they all work there and they all grew up there and they all really work well together. And she mentioned the same thing, that like, even like they, when they still have family dinner together, and oftentimes like work is not, even really, they don't talk about it. They kind of leave like the work at work, and it works for them, right?
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We still, because everybody's lives are so busy right now, so when we do have a full family dinner, once or twice a week when we can, like work bleeds into the conversation, but we try to be more of, okay, we've done enough work, let's talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that the kids are passionate about the business, because listen, they want to take over tomorrow. I'm not ready to be done yet. So they have some time to wait, but I love the fact that they want to do it. I love the fact that we're not forcing them to do it.
Yeah, right.
And they've each found their own pathway to be successful within the business. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to continue to pass what I know on to them, and I know Sarah, she's bringing her expertise, and Julia's really gravitating towards her because dealing with the kids, that's where she's flexing her muscles and she's going to learn the most.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see. But at the same token, let's not talk about business. It's dinner time, or we're going to go out and do something else. Let's talk about anything other than the gym.
Right. And you live in Monmouth County too, right?
We do. We live in Marlboro.
Okay.
Yeah. So even though, 2 of our locations are in Middlesex County, 2 of them are in Monmouth, and we are looking to expand in Monmouth County again.
Okay.
So we have some fun stuff coming.
Yeah. So tell me about your staff, who is not family, but feels
Yes.
just like it.
Well, we do have a large staff, but within that staff, that we do have a lot of family connections.
Yep.
We have Jackie Armenti, who's been with Head Over Heels since we opened the Middletown location back in 1996. She's been working the front desk since we started there. All her daughters did gymnastics at Head Over Heels, and her youngest daughter, Carly, not only grew up in the gym, started teaching, coaching. She also, is one of our senior managers, and she's our, senior VP within operations. So she oversees, all the programs, the facilities, and, she's a key player that you've worked with several times.
Yeah, she's great.
So Jackie and Carly both work for us. Mm-hmm. Then we have another Jackie, Jackie Taylor, who I actually coached her and her brother way back in the day.
Oh, funny.
And her mom, Patty, and I work together to run competitions.
Oh,
So Patty helps out with Head Over Heels running meets. But, Jackie is our director of competitive teams, and now her daughters are on the teams, so they're part of the family connections. So we have so many of those family interminglings going on at Head Over Heels. Gail, the woman who started Head Over Heels, her granddaughter is on one of our competitive teams.
Oh.
So she's still, involved in Head Over Heels. So yeah, there's just, of the entire staff, there's so many connections. I know we have Megan and her cousin Keith, both coach for us. Both were gymnasts for us. Now Megan, just had a baby, and I'm sure he's going to be in classes real soon. So you have those cousin connections right there. We have sisters that are on competitive teams that also work for us. So the dots just keep connecting more and more. So it's really cool to see across all the locations.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So what's it been like over the last, years that you've been running this this business in Monmouth County that is growing and opening new locations for your family, as you kind of now you opened in Shrewsbury, and now you have this new staff to manage. What has that been like in terms of from family's perspective and as a business owner?
The nice thing about having multiple locations is that the family, as much as we work together, we can also separate.
Okay.
So it gives us a little bit of separate, So, while I said Jacob is a main fixture, at the Parkland location, Julia is a main fixture at the Shrewsbury location, so that, they're still young, and you don't want the siblings to kind of, clash either. So when they work together, it's in the office environment. When it's a large group, and we're very big on the work together kind of situation.
Okay.
And then Sarah and I, we do our best job to kind of guide them and teach them how to work together to get to the same goal.
Yeah.
Which is, that's parenting 101. Whether it's running a business or running a household, it's the same conversations. But managing the new and the growing staff, that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Because the generation we live in now is totally different than the generation I grew up in.
Right.
So we have to listen to what they want. We have to work within what they want, but we can't just give them what they want. So it's and being that my kids are of that generation, that's the challenge where my wife and I always shake our head and go, man, we would not get away with that when we were younger.
So much of that. Yes. Agreed.
So it's I find myself constantly learning and educating myself because we come from a generation that has only known change. And the generation ahead of us, they know change way more than even we do.
Right.
But this next generation hasn't had to change as much as we did. Whether it's technology or just, the information age, we used to go to a library and look at a thing called a card catalog, and it would give you these numbers, and you'd have to go find a book. Nowadays they just pick up their phone and go, give me the book. There's everything is totally different. So working with that future staff is a major challenge, but it's great that my management team is made up of all generations.
Yeah.
So when we sit there and we have debates and discussions on how to work with the staff, we literally get from boomers to the alphabet generation all in the same room. So we can bring all of our perspectives and come up with not necessarily what's the best, but what we feel is going to work the best for each individual situation.
Yeah, that's so great too, especially because you're working with different age groups of children too, right? So different perspective. And
from crawlers to college level.
College
were
level.
Literally, 6 months to 18-year-olds. So even in there, you have two different generations.
Did all of your children do gymnastics?
Okay, for a hot minute, yes.
Okay.
Jacob, being the firstborn, he was born and raised in the gym. So, he never did gymnastics formally, but he would always, bounce around the trampoline, flip over here. He's actually taught himself more gymnastics now, which you can see on our TikTok, by the way.
I know. I'm surprised by this because I would have thought he would have been in every class growing up imaginable.
Yeah, no, he would he would be there, and he took some classes here and there, but for the most part, he was just a gym rat. You know, he
Okay,
just grew up
got
in the
it.
gym when we were there. He found his groove in basketball.
I see.
That was his thing.
He's got the height.
He's got the height, and now he's in the gym, and you know, he's spotting, working. But yeah, he's taught himself backflips and some other stuff, so it's kind of funny to watch. Julia actually competed gymnastics, and we do have video somewhere. She's going to hit me for saying that. So she competed when she was much younger. So we do have video footage of her competing. And then she kind of was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And we were like, okay. And she kind of found her niche in volleyball. So she did that through high school. And she had a great time with it. And, you know, now that she's coming back into the gym, it's kind of funny.
Is volleyball something that becomes just like completely sidebar and out of curiosity? Is that something that becomes competitive?
Oh, yeah. She did AAU volleyball, which is no different than like AAU basketball. So there's like elite clubs. They travel all over the country. Really? Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Okay.
So she actually started that when we were in Ohio and then continued when we moved back to New Jersey. So she played at that elite level and traveled. And by the end, she was just like, you know what, she goes, I think I'm good. And, you know, as much as my wife and I were like, ooh, but it was her decision. We supported, and she just didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
You know, and she played club a little bit in college. You know, she dabbled in it a little bit, but she's like, I'm just done. You know, and then, hey, not going to force you. And then Jordan was doing pre-team and gymnastics when she was younger. And then we moved to Ohio. And then she kind of stopped. And then she found her groove in soccer. Oh. But she still comes to the gym and, you know, she's taught herself stuff on the trampolines and bounces around. Again, I mean, they all were raised in the gym in some capacity. Okay. So they can do gymnastics.
They can speak gymnastics.
They can speak it. They can do some basic fundamental stuff. But they all found their own pathways.
Well, how long did you live in Ohio?
5 years.
Where? What part?
Northwest. We were outside of Toledo.
Yeah, like.
I worked for Bowling Green State University.
Okay, my aunt lived in
Sylvania.
Yep. But then also, what's inside Toledo?
Perrysburg
Ottawa
is where
Hills.
we lived. Ottawa Hills.
She lives in Ottawa Hills.
Yep, we remember all those areas. Yeah, we lived in Perrysburg, Ohio, which was like 15 minutes out of Toledo.
Okay.
So she did soccer. She started soccer there. Julia started volleyball there, and then we moved back here.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Huh, small world.
It was a fun little 5-year stint.
Okay. Okay. What's it like? All right. So your children are not coaching.
Jacob coaches.
Oh, he does. Okay.
He does. He helps out with our Excel team, our USAG Excel team, our USAG development team, in the Parlin location. Mm-hmm. So he's a spotter. Okay. So he helps out wherever is needed. You know, if team coaches are out, like he can step in and kind of spot whatever's needed, help out with whatever's needed. So yes, he coaches our competitive teams and he teaches recreational classes.
Got it.
And Julia teaches recreational classes at the preschool level.
Okay. So how do you find coaches then?
That is the hardest thing to do.
I bet. Because I'd imagine, aren't always living here, right?
Team coaches are different than like recreation coaches.
Right.
Okay. So recreation coaches, we kind of create them.
Okay.
You know, we actually have a new crop of kids coming in now that they're going to start as like birthday party and special event staff. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to kind of train them to teach recreational gymnastics from there. Okay. It's much more about the personality. You know, you're working with kids. You know, if you can't have fun with kids in a 1.5 hour birthday party, then you're not meant to do this.
I see.
So we have our own training program. So they'll come in and it usually is, on average, it's an 8-hour program. Mm-hmm. So 4 sessions, 2 hours each. So we kind of break it up into like 4 weeks. Okay. So 2 hours a week. At the end of that 8 hours, you should know enough to teach a basic class or a basic preschool class. You might need 1 more hour, 1 less hour, but that's the average. So we hire the personality to teach the skill. Like you don't need to know anything about gymnastics other than you need to be good with kids. Okay. So if you're good with kids, we can make you an instructor. Mm-hmm. If you're not good with kids, it's very challenging. Okay. Team coaches are a whole different ballgame. Some of them you acquire because they're either looking to move from another location, whether it's another state. I mean, we have several team coaches that are from another state that have kind of moved to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Or you create your own. You know, Jacob was created as a team coach because we had a severe need. We had a coach who was out for a medical reason, and we needed somebody who could spot some of these kids. So we basically taught him what he needed to do. I see. And Ben, who's been with me Ben and I have coached together for over 25 years. Oh, wow. Yeah. So Ben was a major part in teaching Jacob how to spot certain things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm speaking specifically to the gymnastics crowd. Jacob learned how to spot Gingers, Tkachevs, and double backs off bars before he could spot a cast handstand. So that would be the equivalent of racing Usain Bolt your first time out versus, running against me.
Okay.
So he went right to the top and then didn't know how to do the basics.
Got it. Do you coach too?
I used to.
Okay.
For medical reasons, I've been out and I can't do it right now, but I have coached. I have stepped in to help.
Got it.
But for the last several months, I haven't been able to. But I did help Jacob learn how to spot a few things. But Ben did the lion's share of the work, and some other people helped out as well. But, the joke was, he went right to coaching level 10 skills, but couldn't do a level 2 glide kip.
I see.
Now he can. But a year ago, when this all started, we were like, all right, Jacob, we need a coach and we need someone ready like now. So
Yeah.
you got to learn the big skills and you'll figure everything else out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of team coaches, they just started teaching classes and they wanted to learn. So and that's kind of how I did it. Yeah, I was a competitive gymnast and I didn't really know much about coaching. I just kind of came in and, here's how I did this, here's how I did that. And then I found someone that I respected and I said, hey, I want to learn from you. And I just shadowed, and I just paid attention. And I'm like, why'd you do this? How'd you do that? And you just kind of pick it up as you go. And then you just develop into a competitive team coach over time.
Interesting.
So there's no formal training to become a competitive team coach.
Well, you mentioned that
coach.
last time.
And that's a major issue that we struggle with in pretty much all the European countries. You have to have a degree in coaching. Like they graduate from the university as a coach.
It's kind of wild. I mean, it's also like, the life coaches and all the things, right? It's like, I don't know, like there should be some type of like
formal training,
putting your life in the hands of like people sometimes. And,
Yeah. I mean, there's so many resources out there that do training and they'll do workshops and clinics, which are phenomenal.
Right.
And some of them are absolutely amazing, but there is no formalized, you must do this to be that.
You're certified, whatever. You have no certifications.
Yeah. I mean, you need safe sport, you need concussion. So there's certain things like that.
Okay.
But, there's no, when you're coaching, whether it's small children, preteens, teens, adolescents, college, there's so much psychology behind it.
Yeah, I mean, you need it to be a teacher, so I don't know why it's not any different.
Correct, and that is and this isn't just gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
This is all sports,
right?
In America, what's to make you a baseball coach? Because you could take a bat and hit a ball. That doesn't make you a good baseball coach.
So true.
Basketball, I can put a ball in a hoop, but it doesn't mean I can teach fundamentals or strategy. Soccer, I don't care what the sport is. Where we do a disservice in this country is anybody can become a coach. Doesn't mean anybody should become a coach.
Right.
There's a big difference. So with all the national governing bodies, listen, they have a job to do. Their job is to win medals.
Mm-hmm.
We get it. But your job is also to develop grassroots. You kind of have to do both.
Right.
So obviously there's been some issues, in several sports, gymnastics included, and we learned from those major mistakes, but I'm not sure we've learned enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we really haven't fixed the real problems.
Yeah.
And to me, the real problem comes down to the education piece. A lot of people are doing more, they're doing better. And I think they kind of have the right idea, but we need more. Like there's so many people that are still doing it the old school way. What worked in the old school way does not work today.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's why I put it in quotes because, just because someone is older doesn't mean they can't learn the new and a better way to do something.
Yeah, like being a drill sergeant, I'm assuming is what you're referring to.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Like the things that were done to me as an athlete, you could not do today.
Yeah.
The things that I did, as a coach when I started could not be done today.
Mm-hmm.
We have to learn, we have to grow, we have to evolve.
Yeah.
And circling back to it being a family business, I want my kids to be better than we were.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was teaching Jacob how to spot certain things, I would give him the whys because kids today are taught to, I don't want to say challenge authority, but question, why are we doing this? And if you can't answer the why, they are not going to respond to you. And the why better make sense. Why do you want me to do that drill? Well, I need you to do this drill because it's going to do A, B, C, and D. It's going to give you, it's going to keep you safe. You're going to, whatever the reason may be.
Yeah.
But give them a real reason. They're going to know when you're lying. They're going to know when you're making something up.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were younger, do this. Why? Because I said so. Okay. conversation was over.
Right.
There was no talking. That was considered talking back and disrespectful. Now it's they need to learn, they need to know, they need to understand.
Well, not and also I'll take from our last time you were on the podcast, what I learned something new, which was that the fundamentals that you're learning in gymnastics, like so I was a big we talk if you listened last time you'll know this already, but I was in gymnastics, but I took it like at a dance studio. It was like acro, I guess
acro,
technically, and I loved it. I just like loved to flip. I don't know who told me that I was like because I was tall I couldn't whatever, I don't know.
Remember, my wife's 5'9" and competed collegially, so
right.
And now the equipment's even bigger. Like you can do it even taller, but
right. And I don't think I realized I was always tumbling as a kid. Like I was always upside down. I was doing cartwheels. I never got the back handspring. I don't know why, but I was kind of like, I probably would have if like I had a very better coach, a better like environment, different, different classes. But thinking back, it taught me a lot of things that like I noticed that my kids don't have. And that's like kind of being able to like, not trip over things, like whatever. It's like certain things that they like kind of never grew into their own bodies because they didn't,
Right. Just walking around a gymnastics facility is challenging for several people.
Yeah. But it's just like having that, like, just being able to do things. And what you explained was that like, not only do you learn like all these different fundamentals, but you take those skills and bring it to other sports, right? Which is like so important. And I don't like that was never explained as a kid. It was like, maybe it just happened organically, but we didn't know it.
Yeah. Flipping on the playground, transitions to, baseball, running and sliding,
right?
Everything can be associated back to gymnastics. It's a foundational sport for all sport.
Right. Yeah.
It's what you learn in gymnastics that you don't learn in others, spatial awareness, like where you are in space, like with your eyes closed, turning upside down, pivoting left, right, forward, backward. That doesn't happen in other sports.
Yeah.
So you learn that. You learn obviously how to fall down and get back up, and a phrase that I use all the time is gymnastics is a sport of failure. You will fail 99 out of 100 times.
So
you
true.
Celebrate that 100th, and then you build from there.
I know. That's so true. Oh my gosh.
It's so people don't realize. Well, it's not that they don't realize it. It's just they don't think about it that way.
Because you just like it's like cartwheel. Let me do it better. 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 But the whole time you're really like sucking at it. Or at least I was.
Yeah. Until you get it good enough to then move on to the next level.
Right.
And so in that 99 failures to get that one success, it's no different than life.
Yeah.
So that how do you equate gymnastics to life lessons? Well,
so are you using this messaging like with the kids?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
We don't teach gymnastics.
Okay.
We use gymnastics as a vehicle to teach other things.
Okay.
That's kind of what our curriculum is built on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on the phone, we teach cartwheels, forward rolls, backward. Yeah, sure.
Right.
But where we separate ourselves is it's not just about the gymnastic skills.
Yeah.
That's just how we get across the other messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Like we implement that powerful words program. So we teach more about like being a good human, learning patience, leadership, courage, dealing with adversity, that failure is a part of life. It's just because you failed 99 times does not make you a failure.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Learning that resilience factor.
Correct. Resilience, stick-to-itiveness. You want to make sure I'm going to stick with it till I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you learn in gymnastics not that you don't learn in other sports, but they deal with it every day.
Right.
And I don't care if you're a recreational or a competitive student, because even in a recreation environment, you're falling off that beam every time until you are able to stand up and walk across it.
Yep.
So for you, that was your high-level skill. That's no different than the competitive athlete who learned a high-level release move or completed a routine.
Yeah.
The success is the same. Doesn't matter which level it's at.
Yeah.
And that same kid who comes once a week for 50 minutes, who fell off the beam every time this week, fell off the beam every time next week, but that third week comes back and she stays on the beam and walks across, there's her success point.
Right.
And that's what we want to celebrate. Doesn't matter what the level is.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't quit, that they came back, that they kept trying, those are the teachable moments.
Right.
The skill itself is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's the other stuff.
So you offer lots of different classes.
Yep.
One of which that I love and wish that was around, or at least I knew about, I don't think it was when my son was little, is ninja.
Didn't exist.
And I think it's brilliant. And I think that it's just, especially for boys, because my son, I know without a doubt would have loved it. I don't think he'll mind that I tell the story, but he might, and whatever.
Just don't listen to this section.
Don't listen to this one. But when he was little, he was his dad was a big soccer player. He played in college. And I think, like many parents want their kids to kind of, also do play what they played, sure. Right? So when he was little, we signed him up for soccer like every other parent does. And he'd be on the sidelines. He was obsessed. So Sonic the Hedgehog at the time was like not a big character, right. But he loved Sonic and there was no Sonic stuff anywhere. It was like hard to come by. Now Sonic's like really, really big. Yeah. So he loved Sonic the Hedgehog. So all the kids would be playing and he'd be on the sideline curling up in a ball like Sonic and be like zzz, and then it was like zoom off into the side. But then all the other kids are like playing the game and I'm like, Shane, this isn't like this isn't Sonic. This is Sonic. This is the game, whatever. So that was his experience. And then he got into basketball. It was more his thing. He just wasn't into the soccer.
Yeah.
But the point is that you're always trying to get your kids into things that they enjoy, right? That they're good at, that they enjoy, that makes them feel fulfilled, that makes them feel confident. And I feel like Ninja could be that for so many kids.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Ninja's got so many cool things. And, our Ninja director, Daniel, has done amazing. He's done absolutely amazing since he's come on board with us just about a year and a half ago. And he's taken our Ninja program and just done phenomenal things. Our Ninja missions, the level ups, everything they're doing has just been awesome. Mm-hmm. He's a big fixture on our TikToks too, because him and Jacob, they pal around on those TikTok videos. And Daniel's done a great job developing our Ninja staff so that, it's not that he's the only one that can do it. Like all of our instructors are basically not just believing in what Daniel's providing, but also buying into it. Mm-hmm. They're totally different things. So we're seeing it across all of our facilities. And we even have Little Ninja that's in the HOH too. So it's even designed for like the little 2 and 3 year olds. Mm. So it's really cute to see. But Ninja, one of the coolest things about it is it's gender irrelevant. Like typical gymnastics, there's girls, there's boys.
Yeah.
Girls do balance beam and boys do pommel horse, whatever. Ninja, it doesn't matter. The warp wall is the same for every kid. The rig is the same for every kid. Jumping over things, it's irrelevant.
Right.
So from a demographic perspective and a business owner, it's phenomenal for us mm-hmm. because it doesn't have to be boys or girls.
Right.
The classes can fill with whomever, whenever, whatever. The other thing that's really cool about Ninja is the older they get, the more excited they get. So we can continue to challenge 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Oh.
So it's giving these kids, because a lot of times in gymnastics, every gym offers classes for kids of all ages. But the lowest demographic is once a kid gets to like 7th grade. Mm-hmm. If they're not on the competitive teams, they kind of phase out.
Okay.
Because they go and do other things. Mm-hmm. Ninja's keeping them in.
Interesting.
Because it's always a challenge. And now, not now, but for the last decade plus, you have American Ninja Warrior on TV.
Oh, yeah.
So these kids are seeing a potential competitive route for themselves. Mm-hmm. And at Head Over Heels, being that we have the multiple locations, this is something cool that's coming in 2026. We have inter-gym competitions that are coming up for our Ninja programs.
Oh, that's cool. I'd like to see that.
So they're going to be able to do not only the Ninja missions, but we can also have challenge events.
Cool.
So like leaderboards for speed and, who can do this. And so, Daniel and his team, they're really working on some cool stuff that, I'm leaking a little bit now, but this is what's coming within the Ninja world. It's very cool to see.
Sky's the limit.
There's really no limit.
Cool.
The bigger the facilities we can build, the more things they can do.
Let's get building. So speaking of expanding, yes. You expanded to HOH2 opened this year, right?
A year ago, February 1st.
Yeah. Wow.
So we're just turning on a year.
It feels like longer, but also not.
It does, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes like a year can feel extra long, which I feel like this year for me did, but also like it flew.
That was the impetus for me reaching out to you. Mm-hmm. Was when we were building HOH2.
Right.
And I saw the Monmouth Moms, and I'm like, oh, we're in your backyard, and like that was the reason why that I had contacted you at first.
Yes, the moms love
Yeah.
they love a mommy and me class.
Yes,
A
they
parent
do.
and me class.
Yeah.
A caretaker and me
Caretaker
class.
and me.
I can't say that anymore. Now it's a caretaker.
We call that a panda and cubs.
Okay.
So it's the
Oh,
panda
whatever
and
it
cub.
is.
Yep.
Bring whoever's watching the kids.
Exactly. Whoever's watching the cub, bring them in. We have grandparents, aunts, uncles.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yes.
It's great. I love it. My mom brought my daughter to mommy and me at Gymboree when I went back to work because she watched her the first year until she went to daycare, which was
the
wonderful.
grandparents have a blast.
Yes.
With the littles in these gyms. Yeah, it's really cool to see.
It is nice. So you have HOH2 in Shrewsbury,
Yep.
The facility in Middletown, Berlin, East Brunswick.
Yep.
Maybe expanding to
We
more.
We do have legally I can't say anything yet. We are in the middle of negotiating our fifth location, which will be in Monmouth County.
Mm-hmm.
It will be somewhere on the other side of
Eastern Monmouth.
Yes,
Eastern Monmouth. Yes.
I hope to be able to make that official soon. We're just, like I said, we're just dealing with, it's the legality of it. So I don't want to jinx it, but yes, we do have a fifth location coming.
It's exciting.
Yes,
so,
very.
So we'll obviously spread the word when we can.
Yeah.
And you'll find the whole family at our upcoming events in 2026, which will be here before we know it.
Oh my God, yes.
So thank you so much for sharing
this.
your story and allowing me and our community to get to know your family this year.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure. And if you are interested in learning more about classes or different things that Head Over Heels offers, you can head to their website. Now Jacob is going to kick my butt because last time we posted something, I put the wrong
we have a bunch of
domain names, yes. And he's like, I'm surprised it's working, but it's hohnj.com.
It's HOHGym.
Gymnj.com.
HOHGYMNJ.com.
Yes, and I put Head Over Heels gymnj.com or something like that.
I think we own that one too, but I think
you do.
Yeah, so I made sure that we bought a variety of domains. They all point to the same one.
We'll
but
put
our
it in the
TikTok,
notes.
Instagram, Facebook, and the website are all hohgymnj.com.
Okay.
I did that for continuity to make it a little bit easier.
There you go. But we'll put it in the notes and you can Google it too.
yes, you can absolutely Google it. We made sure of that.
Yeah, but follow them on all the socials because they do a good job. It's very entertaining, and you'll learn more about everything cool that they're doing and stay in the know about all the exciting updates that you have.
And I appreciate the time, Kate. We always have a great time, and we love doing the events, and we've done special Monmouth Moms branded events for you guys as well.
That's right.
We just had one on Sunday where, oh my God, they were absolutely adorable. So we look forward to seeing you and all your followers at these events.
Yes. Stay tuned for more in 2026. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thank you.